Family, him and his dad. They did such an amazing job of creating a basketball culture in this community that you grow up just wanting to be a part of it and looking at these guys that are just larger in life. And then when you actually get to play with them, you feel like you're part of the family.
Respect. Ultimate respect.
Growing up and knowing that, okay, I'm going to be, as a grade schooler, going in and having Coach Keller as a teacher and a coach was one of those adult figures that you really looked up to.
Mr. Keller for us was always larger than life, right? I mean, he came across as always the biggest, the strongest. He had such great expectations of the way you would carry yourself, conduct yourself, the way you would behave. He was a big part of the development of who you were as a person, not just as an athlete, but as a person.
There hasn't been a week, I've been out of here for 27 years. There hasn't been a week go by that the Keller family doesn't get mentioned or I think about the Keller family in 27 years because they're unparalleled in what they meant to me and my family.
If you think about between Leon Keller and Rodney Keller, the number of families in one small town that they've had an impact on. The standard that has been so consistently set in one small school district for such a long period of time. The concept of loyalty is increasingly more and more rare. And I think when you look at the Keller family, their loyalty to that community is beyond reproach. That's significant. That's a big deal, I think.
When you walk into this gym, there is a feeling that you get you cannot recreate anywhere else. It's a timeless feeling that if you played here, if you grew up here, you understand. For 50 years, there have been hundreds of those timeless nights, those Tuesdays and Fridays that are forever nights, that I like to call them. And what makes that even more special is that it's really all because of one family. Both Coach Kellers, both Mr. Kellers, they're the reason that we have a place like this. They're the reason that we have nights like this. It's two men, it's one family, and it's timeless. And honestly, it's perfect. If you took one thing from him, and maybe player carrying over to a person, what would that be?
Oh my gosh, the list is endless. The biggest thing is being a role model and being a good father and being a community member that cares about where the kids end up, not so much wins and losses. He treats everybody the same. And janitors, teachers, superintendents, players, fellow coaches, whatever, everybody's treated the same. I think that's the biggest thing I've taken from him is just how to treat people on the same playing field all the time.
I would have to say respect. He's a guy you definitely can look up to and respect at any time, and he's going to respect you right back. And he's going to respect you even if you don't know him. He's going to respect you, and he shows you what kind of man you want to be.
Leadership, success, all of it takes commitment, attention to detail, and just a drive to succeed. And whether it was doing the dirty dozen daily in practice or the scripted game plans, the playbook, etc., Coach was meticulous and he had paid great attention to detail, and he's been successful because of it. And I think that for me in my life and what I do, I think I've been able to emulate some of the leadership traits that I learned from him.
As a young kid, you had the fear of Coach Keller, but you got to know him. You know, he was a great guy. You know, he was always on your side. He was always demanding of you to give 110%. And if you did that, he was somebody that he would always reward you and always tell you that, you know, good job. You knew that you would get his respect. You gave of your all every time that you know he demanded something of you.
I think I got a lot of my competitiveness and fire from Rodney. I think he was able to ignite that in me. And I always took from that, you may not be the most talented athlete on the court, but you're going to be the hardest working person. So I've always had that mantra of, hey, hard work, you put the time in, you're going to get the payout. And Rodney made sure that that was really clear to all of us.
He is the same way in the classroom as he is in on the basketball court. He's very, very passionate about what he teaches, whatever it is. He's in it for the long haul, and he takes care of the kids and makes sure that they do the right thing, and he'll lead them on their way to where they should be.
And there's been ups and downs. A lot of coaches look to try to go to the next level. He's stayed here, true to here.
When you coached for him so long, what's one thing you took from him?
How not to lose your temper at the wrong time, and how to lose your temper at the right time.
And he'd be stomping, right? He'd be like, 32, you're 32, 22, 11, and everybody hears it. And he'd be, doing his little stomp thing.
After a made basket, going 32, 22, jumping up and down while the crowd behind him's going nuts. That's probably the best memory that I have of him looking over on the court when we just got a big basket, him jumping up and down.
Tell me how a sophomore, 3-year starting point guard, now he's a senior, dribbles the ball off his feet in the county championship.
Come here. Come here. He gets this close to me. Are you serious? Is this how hard you can go? What are you doing turning the ball over? Are you serious? And his veins just popping out. I wish I could do that, but I can't.
Starts the TV, get over here, It's in the forehead region somewhere, and
I think it's kind of like right in here, I think.
Well, I don't know if I can get my eyebrow up and my vein out. It's the finger, it's that, and that's the younger Keller.
I wish I could do it. I don't have the right shoes, and I'd have to stand up over here by the bench, and I'd have to kick it really hard.
Whenever he's really mad at you, he tried to act like a ventriloquist and not move his lips. So he's like, he's really mad, but he's not moving his lips. And he says to me, if you want to be a cheerleader, that's fine. But tonight I need you to be a basketball player.
Full out sprint, get over to him, and you stop right there. And he'd pull your jersey, and he'd give you a little talking to, and then he'd give you a tap on the butt, and you'd get back out there on your way.
A tap on the butt? A tap is...
Sometimes tap, sometimes
okay.
A little more forceful tap.
Players kind of have it as a badge of honor, and wears a badge of honor, and he has 2 slaps. He has a slap for get your butt in gear, and he has a slap for I love you, and what you just did was incredible.
Mr. Keller is, when he did something good on the floor, he would slap your butt, and I said, it actually stung and burned when you were running down there. So I know it was all in good general, but we always used to laugh. So that actually hurt when he did something good and he pounded your butt, so.
Do you have a face, anything he would make or anything like that?
Well, I'd say I couldn't be that mean. He's not as big as he was.
He would be taking that face mask and that helmet and directing it right so that they were looking right into his eyes, so that he was very sure to make his point, and that was very sure that that point was being heard.
Well, whenever he wanted you to move from one part of the field to the other, Leon or whatever, Leon would always go like this. Okay, do this, do that. Okay, do this.
Just the one finger pointing at you and getting it right in your chest. I mean, he put it right there, and however long he was mad at you, it went in your chest.
Give us your best Rodney Keller impersonation.
I'm losing it back here.
The stories that he probably doesn't want to share is like, he doesn't want it to all look like negative, but we're laughing about it, because it was overwhelmingly positive.
What are some of those memories that come to mind for you?
Coach has won 500 plus games now, but I'm proud to remember that night where we were able to present him with the game ball when he won his 100th game.
Central Catholic at home. Grabbed an offensive rebound with 2 seconds to go, got fouled, went to the free throw line, missed the first free throw. They called the timeout.
remember looking over, he gave me a little grin, being like, come on, Doug, you don't miss free throws like that. Went back out, shot the second free throw, and missed that one also. The funny part was then came back over to the huddle, and he had that same grin for me. We went into overtime and pulled it out in overtime. Again, one of those other situations where they were bigger than us, they were more skilled than us, but at the end of the day, we pulled it out.
There's no doubt the one shot I had at the McLean County tournament, in the last second to get a win, get us in the championship game, ultimately win that championship, because our class has never, the previous 2 years we lost the championship game, so there's no doubt it's very rewarding to get that championship won for Coach Keller.
We kind of went all through school with Leon, and I can remember back then that was when the Beatles were just a thing, and one of my classmates came to school and he had a pair of Beatle boots, and Leon made him get up on the desk and model them for everybody because he thought they were silly,
Playing at Central Catholic High School in the pit, and we were not playing very well, and we went in halftime. The old roll-around chalkboards are sitting there, and somebody made a comment, and he happened to turn around and he broke the chalkboard in half. I'm sure he remembers that, and I will never forget that.
If he wanted me to do something after I graduated, he'd say what, let's say if it was announced the football games or help with the clock here, he'd say, Keithy, I'm gonna double your salary this year. And I'd say, oh great, that's good. Of course, we both knew 2 times 0 was still 0.
I was a little bit cocky when I was on the court, and Leon thought I needed to take a little of that out of my game, and I let some littler kid come up behind me and steal the ball, and the entire timeout was dedicated to me and the one finger treatment. And I'll tell you what, as long as I played basketball, I never let somebody come up behind me and steal the ball from me.
And first time going to stage I know that brought joy to him and his family, and knows Leon was looking after us, so it was good.
As growing up, Michael Jordan was the big guy. Everybody wanted to be like Mike. When I was growing up, we wanted to all be like Rodney. We loved to watch Rodney play. I don't think there was a shot that Rodney didn't like. If he crossed half court, he was open.
I was actually hanging out with Michael, and it was right before our regional game versus Lexington. We're driving back to his house, and all of a sudden we see Lauren outside because the house is on fire. And just to go through such a crazy experience of their house almost burning to the ground right before a regional game, and then we go out and play great, and emotions ran after the game, and everybody just really came together. It was stuff like that, the stuff off the court that you felt like, again, you were part of a family.
I was playing so bad, he actually brought the whole stat book with him. Down there, and I'm sitting there on the bench, waiting for the halftime speech. He actually just sets the stat book on my lap, and he asked me to look at it, which I already knew what it was going to say. It was going to say that I was playing terrible, and but it was in those moments where he just had such an ability just to motivate his players and to really, he knew what buttons to push, he knew the strings to pull that would motivate us.
I played against Leon when I was at Saybrook, and I was scared to death of him. And when I got married, my wife worked here and had a conference meeting with him, and I was supposed to eat supper with him, and I told her I wouldn't go because I was scared to death of him. And she goes, oh, come on. And I went, and I just laughed my rear end off because he was just a funny, great guy, and more down to earth than I had ever imagined.
But it was sitting around the kitchen table with my grandma telling him to stop talking about basketball, and me and my dad, and we're over there for an hour after the game till 10:30, 11 o'clock talking about the game and who we got coming up next. But that sums up not only my grandfather's and my dad's relationship, but our relationship together. I mean, that's what it was right there.
Whenever they played over at our place, they'd stop at our house for coffee and cake afterwards and everything. And Marilyn and Leon came in, and they sat down, and we sat there quite a while, and I said, is Rodney with you? I said, where's he at? And he said, he's sitting out in the car. I said, what's wrong? He says he's mad because he got beat. He doesn't lose very well.
We came down to the locker room, and I had accidentally hit Kurt Nord in the lip during a rebound, and his lip was kind of swollen. And Keller come over to me, and he says, Sweet, if you don't want a lip just like that, you better go out in the second half and get some rebounds and score some points.
And did you?
And I did. I believed him.
He was the one that told us, and this was down in the locker room, told us about President Kennedy being assassinated. And just how he did that, and how, he was he had tears in his eyes. That was such a big impression. I always think back to November 22nd. Every year it comes up, how I found out about that. And it was from Leon telling us, we were all lined up, and he, as the instructor, had to tell us that President Kennedy got shot.
You get your name in the paper, you think you get a big head, and Coach Keller said I had an All-American game. I come in Monday morning, and Mr. Keller was actually sitting right by the door waiting for me to come in and says, "Now don't get a big head."
You've sat in this seat since the 1950s. Tell us about some of your favorite memories in this gym.
Whenever we can beat Lexington.
That's a good one, huh?
That's the best one.
It's unheard of to have one coach this long in a community this small, and I don't know until you get out that you understand how lucky you actually are.
Well, I think the Keller family's been a pillar of our community forever. And not only in our community, but a cornerstone for this school, high school especially. You know, not only with Leon and Rodney, but let's not forget Marilyn.
So you start to think around just the generations that he's impacted, the steadiness of the program, and what it's become.
In many ways, the legacy of Mr. Keller lives on through my kids. And it's interesting also that my son, Derek, played for Mr. Keller number 2. So he was able to also experience that Keller influence in his life as well.
Both my boys said that Rodney was the best coach that they ever had. So, you know, obviously he's followed into Leon's footsteps as far as discipline goes and you know, getting the kids ready to play and so forth.
He's been here forever. You know, he got here and he never left. Times got tough. He could have went somewhere else. You know, he could have went and like other coaches do, you know, but he stayed there. He wanted to build a program. You know, they're so much alike. But I think both of them just dug their roots and they stayed. Through tough times or whatever, they were going to stay here and be part of the community.
Give me one word to describe the Keller family. You only get one word to choose. What would that one word be?
Love. I will say love. They love the kids. They love what they're doing. They're passionate about what they're doing. The whole family is just about love.
It's tradition. His family and everything. You stay together and all in, so it means everything.
Character. I think without question. I think you know, to be a young person and grow up and witness Mr. Keller, Leon Keller, his character and the way he conducted himself and the expectations were so consistently the same. And they were always high, and they were always appropriate, and it was always about the greater good. It was never selfish. I think that is what stands out as much as anything. It was never, ever selfish. And then, you know, I've known Rodney my entire life. So his character and his capacity to advocate in the interest of his school district, his program, the kids that he represents, his community, they're both men that I would trust with anything.
Passionate, I think. Passionate in basketball, passionate in making his players better, passionate in making better people.
It's very cliche to say that he led by example, but he truly did in the purest sense of the phrase. And that's why it was so easy to follow him, so easy to play for him, is because there was never anything that he asked me to do that he wasn't willing to do himself or that he wasn't doing. And so I just think leader is just, it's easy.
Brother, just like a brother.
Just thank you. Thanks for the opportunity to grow up with you.
For me, lucky to be able to call Leon my grandfather and Rodney my dad, and to grow up and see the way that they talk with people and the way that people react to them is just remarkable. And if I can turn into half the man that those two are, I'd consider myself pretty lucky, because they are two remarkable men.
You wish you could have nights like this forever, even for those of us that have been gone for a while. these nights, just like this one, you just feel it. And it makes you appreciate what both coaches, both men have done for the community, and hundreds of young men who've gone through the basketball program and through the school. And I'll say it again, it's timeless, and now it's forever, which is the way it should be. Coach Kellars Court, forever.